probably wondering why I'm standing on a fairly nondescript motorway bridge. Well, there's a bit of a history to this one. Want to find out? I'm standing here on the Brindle Road Orby Bridge, which crosses the M6 just to the east of Orby Bridge. It's unique in that this is the only structure that is still exactly as built. We're going to have a look now at the history of the Preston Bypass and how we got to this point and why this bridge still remains. Simply put, the Preston Bypass had to be built because the then town of Preston, of course it's now a city, was just completely and utterly unable to handle the amount of traffic passing through it. Traffic from the north and the south had to cross the River Ribble, and traffic from the east and the west had to cross the River Ribble, all on the same bridge on the A6. The result, as you can imagine, was absolutely chaos. So in the early 50s, after the Second World War, the funding was finally found and Britain's first motorway began construction. The M6 was opened to huge fanfare on the 5th of December 1958 by Harold Macmillan, the then Prime Minister. Always annoys me when people say, oh, the M1 was the first motorway. It wasn't, it was the M6 at Preston. In 1965, the Preston Bypass was widened to 3 lanes in each direction, using space left down the centre. The completion of the M61 in 1970 allowed a new route from Manchester to Preston, and then in 1975 the completion of the M55 from Blackpool dumped traffic onto the M6. As you can imagine, things had to be done about this. Plans included a bypass around the southwest of Preston, which never happened, although a watered down residential development enabling variant of that is now being constructed today. And eventually it was decided that the best thing to do would be to just widen the existing motorway, with the small exception of the bit between junction 30 and 29, which there was no need to widen to 4 lanes, so it was retained. And that is why the Brindle Road Bridge is still standing there now. On the 5th of December 2008, the M6 reached its 50th anniversary, and another monument was placed in recognition of that fact, meaning that this is one of the few locations on the UK motorway network where there are 3 separate monuments to different parts of its history. The remodelling of junction 31 did result in this cycle track being constructed, which is actually the original line of the A59 underneath. It used to run really straight through 2 roundabouts. Obviously with the new dumbbell arrangement meant that the roundabouts were changed. They were changed again in the late 2000s to be what's called a dog bone, which is a signal controlled elongated roundabout squash to fit. That was because of the works over at Samlesbury Enterprise Zone. So the work to keep the M6 and its approaches moving just never stops. It's a constant battle, really. You'll really struggle to make it out standing under the bridge unless you know what you're looking for. But the bridge at Durton Lane has 2 generations of construction to it. The original 1958 carriageways and the 1975 M55 carriageways. And you'll be able to tell the difference looking underneath. So to conclude, the only structures left on the M6 that have any connection to its original construction in 1958 from south to north are the following: the railway bridge, the Brindle Road Bridge, the Higher Walton Bridge where the A675 passes underneath, although this one's tricky to work out which bits are original, the Samlesbury River Ribble Bridge, which again, it's very hard to work out which bits are original. The only sections that are original are small amounts of the piers supporting the structure. The rest of it was replaced. And finally, the Durton Lane Bridge. The original Preston Bypass, therefore, had a lifespan of just 35 years before the work to rebuild it completely started in earnest. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little whistle-stop tour of the M6 around Preston. If you have, please feel free to like the video and potentially even subscribe to my channel. It would help my growth a lot. You can also follow me on Twitter at @ShowMeAsignBrin. Until then, see you next time.